अस्सलाम वालेकुम everybody. Sorry for the delay. हम थोड़ा इंतज़ार कर रहे थे कि हॉल थोड़ा fill up हो जाए. But we're going to start now. ये हमारा जो panel है इसका title है Playground Connections, School as a Site of Friendship and Community with Dr. Rubina Tahir, Rabia Najam, Maria Salman and our moderator Zainab Altaf. I'm going to introduce Zainab. Zainab is a public policy analyst with an interest in societal transformations. She has assisted various branches of government on evidence-based policy reform and institutional capacity building. Her multi-sectoral work has helped increase the representation of women and minority groups in local governments and public institutions. She has contributed to many development initiatives through empirical research on the dynamics of access to political representation and socioeconomic mobility in Pakistan. She has served as the monitoring and support lead for the Chief Minister's Office, Punjab, as well as a technical expert for various multilateral donor agencies. Zainab was recently inducted into the American Council of Young Political Leaders as an emerging policy leader from South Asia. She is going to go ahead and welcome our panelists, but on behalf of WOW, I would like to give a special thanks to our team here from PSL who are assisting for our hearing impaired audience. Thank you so much, everybody, and please enjoy the panel. Zainab, take it away.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I'm Zainab Altaf, and I am so grateful to our panelists for agreeing to sit indoors on this beautiful sunny day today. Let me first of all introduce our esteemed panel. Today we have with us Dr. Rubina Tahir. She has a PhD in English Literature from the University of Punjab. She has over 30 years of experience in academics, and she has led the Lahore Grammar School and has attended various conferences on education. We will be benefiting from her vast experience and her insights today. We also have with us Ms. Rabia Najam, an esteemed education leader who's currently serving as the principal of Crescent Model Higher Secondary School in Lahore. She holds a master's in economics. Rabia has also held pivotal roles in institutions like the Salamat School System, Beacon House School System, the Educators, and the City School. Her skill set includes effective team building, adapt problem solving, and proficient communication. And last but not the least, we have with us today Ms. Maria Salman. She has an MSc in pharmacy. She's the principal of Adult School, and she has been teaching O-level English language, and she's the chairman of the Cambridge Schools community for South Punjab. So today, since we have with us three guests who have dealt with different and a very varied, you could say, stream of education in our country, we will be talking about how schools and playgrounds in particular serve as sites for community building and connections in any walk of life. As children, school is the first site of communication and relationship building, and our panelists have been dealing with it and guiding not just students, but also those who impart this very valuable education to those children through a number of varied ways. So the first topic, actually, I would not call it a question, but the first topic that I would like to touch upon today is that how do all three of you see schools as a site of community building and connections, and how do you see it has evolved over the past 2 decades? Please feel free to answer. Yes.
Schools are a great forum for community building. You have so many projects that you do, and they are team building. They teach children leadership skills. At our school, for example, we do a lot of projects with the British Council. So we did the International Schools Award, where children got together and connected with schools in Pakistan, abroad, international schools as well. And then they did like-minded projects, and then they shared their work with each other. So they got to learn a lot of digital skills, and they got to be able to hear other people's perspectives. And I think when they're working in a team as well, it teaches them a lot of things about how to get along, compromises that they have to make, skills that they learn from each other. So that's a really good way that, schools can inculcate a sense of community amongst children, not just for girls, but for boys as well. And because we are, all learning from each other, we give them a safe space where they feel included and they feel confident enough to voice their thoughts and opinions, and they will come forward. And I think those are the friendships and the lessons that they learn that stay with them throughout.
Is it? Yes, it's working. I think it's good afternoon now, everybody. This is actually a topic which is very close to my heart and something I've been passionate about for the better part of my life. And I have been in education for the last more years than I would like to admit. But yes, certainly. I think that it's so important, I think all important, that we build a safe communal space for our students in their educational spaces, because all academics and all their achievements actually come out of how they feel about it in class. There are so many ways that we try to integrate different kinds of practices through obviously recognized theories, but we put them into practice and implement how we can build their bonds and relationships through activities which are known as co-curriculars or extracurriculars, which are very much part of essential curriculum now, where they meet outside of the academics, and we have various clubs and societies where they mingle the juniors with the seniors, whether it's for dance or music or debates or sports or whatever. And this is how they forge their friendships. And this is how they build a support system for each other. And it has become, I think, most schools, if not all, follow this, because out of that, then they form an identity. It's very important for them to have an identity in school and feel a part of that institute, take pride in that. And that only comes with all the activities they do and everything. And enjoy education, because education is not just getting from A to B, getting your A stars and then going on to good universities or Ivy Leagues or whatever. I genuinely feel and have felt all my life that education is a journey that one must enjoy. Education is just beyond the degrees. Education is what makes you who you become. And if I may just touch upon something that I think is equally important when you talk about building a community and friendships and how to go about it, they are learners, they are young minds, very impressionable. So they actually look at the teachers and the faculty as role models. So what we try to do is have a very good supportive system and a good collaborative system for teachers also, where we provide a lot of opportunities for them to be able to collaborate with each other. Because I think over the years, like you rightly said, that education has evolved, times have changed, and the word competence, I feel, is used a lot in school. Is she a competent teacher? Is so-and-so a competent student? I think competence has taken on some kind of different connotations, and it has depersonalized it. It has kind of made it more mechanical, more clinical, and certainly more depersonalized. So I think that what we like to nurture in our schools is to be able to show the students that competence doesn't necessarily mean perfectionism. It means vulnerability also, where you have that safe space to be able to project your vulnerability. And so the teachers do at the same time. And that is where the students feel that this is a place where we can talk about maybe our areas of insecurity or our shortcomings and everything. So yes, I think schools play a vital role in young people's lives, and we have to take our jobs very seriously, very responsibly, and to make them at least get the best out of their own potential. A non-competitive environment. It should be a more collaborative environment where competition is not the focus. It is to get the best out of who you are. You're not competing with someone else. And if you've done your best, for us, at least that's good enough. We've done our job. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum ji. Well, I think already there's a lot that has already been said about it, but I'd just like to talk about in a different perspective, playgrounds overall, whether they're in school or outside the school with, the community parks and all these areas where children and adults go to, they make their own communities and connections. So these are very important that they get to know people, like-minded people, people having similar interests in sports or otherwise. We have seen in parks and, most of the parks, there are yoga clubs and all those areas where even adults like to go to, and they have formed their own communities. So it's likewise in schools. It's even more important. Besides the fact that it is healthy, it's a healthy activity and it's required and all these things, children, they behave like themselves. They are themselves when they are in a playground, in school. While they're in the classrooms, they are, their academics are taken care of, and that's one side of their personality. But when they go to the playgrounds, they're making connections. That is irrespective how they're performing in the classrooms. They have to exhibit tolerance, patience, collaboration, competitiveness, all these skills, the life skills that are developed in the playgrounds only. So those are also very important connections. And then in my school particularly, we are very, keen on sports. We have a very good and very effective sports department. And I would want to mention here that even during summer break, when all schools are off, I have a sports camp of about 3,000 students who like to come to school. And, we have to give them a month off so that they do not come to school, and we kind of renovate and do our repair and maintenance during that time. So this shows their connections with their friends, even when they're not coming to school or otherwise. So that is a reflection of how important these playgrounds and sports are, because they're not coming to school for academics, they're coming for sports only. They have their friendships, they have their connections, which are later lifelong connections that are developed during sports activities. And yes, the curriculum also supports that, because when we are talking about a complete personality of a child, which the schools take responsibility of, it is important that they learn how to conduct themselves when they're outside of the classroom, when they are at a public place, when they are dealing with each other, when they're in competition with each other. They have to show that tolerance, that patience, and that acceptability for each other. That's extremely important, and I think that's the most important thing as a nation that is required now. So while the school size is shrinking, and even the homes are shrinking, it is important that the responsibility of schools otherwise with grounds and such facilities is even bigger, that we provide those opportunities to our students to come and avail these facilities and develop as a good human being, which is extremely important, I think, need of the day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My next question to all of you as panelists would be that when we talk about playgrounds as sites for connection building, playgrounds can often become sites of bullying. So how do you, as people who are leading institutions, deal with or train your teachers for conflict resolution, particularly in the day and time of online bullying, when bullying in the physical space now transcends boundaries and it goes on to online bullying, and like mentioned that it affects academics eventually. So could you please shed some light on how schools are proactively dealing with that now?
I think things like that, you start from a very, very young age. If you teach them about kindness and empathy and putting yourself in the other person's shoes, I think those lessons stay with them for life. So when they're in their very early, the pre-primary years, that's when these lessons need to be inculcated into the curriculum, getting them to think about others. Obviously, as they go into the older classes, you do see, body shaming and you do see bullying incidences. But there's a lot of, with our teachers, and I think that goes for all schools, there's so much awareness now of these things as, education, the environment of education has really changed, especially over the last decade. So there's a lot more awareness. So I think teachers, we train them especially to keep a lookout. Is there any child that's on their own? Is there any child that, might be unhappy? Is there any way that they're acting out? And then maybe, try and get them to, we have buddy friendships, we have peer mentorship. So we have older students looking out for the younger children. And that really helps as well. Sometimes, we get them to talk to us in a quiet space. Sometimes, young children can be afraid to come out with their feelings or, to tell maybe a teacher or, an adult what's going on, but they will talk to their friends. So, we build safe spaces for them. We have things like prefects, and we have anti-bullying campaigns in school, as well as doing safeguarding in schools. The British Council does a lot of work on safeguarding. We have workshops where we talk with our teachers. There's a lot of mental health awareness in schools now, especially after the pandemic, where you talk about, how to keep your mental health at its peak, things that we need to do. So, we've started to inculcate things like yoga and meditation into our classrooms. And, just having that quiet space gives children time to think about it and gather their thoughts. And if they feel that they are being heard and they're not being victimized, then they will always go to an adult or to an older friend, and they will share with them. And I think, just setting the example for them as well, because teachers and school leaders, we are role models for our students. Jo hum karenge, wo wahi seekhte hain aur wo wahi karte hain. So if we make sure that in our role as school leaders and as teachers, ke hum log bhi sabko equally treat kare. We listen to each other respectfully. We take on each other's ideas on board. We're setting the example for these children. क्योंकि वही बात हो जाती है ना कि जो हम एज अ सोसाइटी लोगों को, बच्चों को ड्रामास में, टीवी पे, फिल्म्स में, जो हम अपने घरों में, जो हम स्कूल्स में दिखाते हैं, बच्चे हमारे वही बनते हैं. तो अगर if we want them to, become better people, if we want them to be more kind, more empathetic, so as a society, हमें उनके लिए ये role models, ये examples set करने चाहिए. And I think this comes from the home, especially. कि we need to make sure कि, whatever we can do, get the parent involved, get teachers involved, making sure that everybody is not just heard, but feels safe, can share their thoughts, and that they are aware of other people's feelings. Sometimes just saying a simple line as, कि अगर आप लोगों के साथ ऐसे होता, how would you feel? Sometimes even that, just the realization that, what you are doing might be hurtful for others. That's, that is, quite profound too. That's very helpful when it comes to conflict resolution as well.
Thank you. I think I would second most of all of what you have said. And yes, I think we do have various forums in which the conflicts which arise in the school can be looked at or managed or handled in terms of we have counseling departments, we have a psychologist full-time, we have a parent forum and we meet them monthly and everything. But I think the more interesting thing is the fact that why do conflicts arise, and to create a space where we can minimize it. And once going back to that question, I think which basically is the core of it, is creating the space, the communal space, where the children who have these pent-up emotions or resentments or any kind of antagonistic feelings or anything, we try to create a space where it can form a form of catharsis or a cathartic effect, and whether that is through drama, whether that is through dance, whether that is through the various functions and events we have. And then, this is one way that they can resolve the conflicts. Another way is to help the students understand that it is all right to feel angry at times. It is all right to feel disappointed at times. We turn things into taboos, and then the students become very inside them. They are not ones to talk then. So we want to tell them that it is all right if you're angry with someone and everything, and then to really tap the potential they have in them. And we can only do that through the communal activities we have. Because I think it's a given now that intelligence, because that is what school is all about, academics and wanting them grades, intelligence no longer is a singular term. Intelligence is recognized as a plural term. And I'm a great advocate of Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, and even practices that every person, individual person, has a particular individual intelligence of their own, whether it is musical, whether it is spatial, whether it is logical, mathematical, whether it is interpersonal or intrapersonal, or so on. And through our various activities, communal activities, we try to enhance them, and we try students, and they do find their niche. So no one really feels excluded. So it gives them that inclusiveness, that they are bright or they are recognized or valued in one thing or the other, because it is impossible that one individual does not outshine in one of these particular areas of intelligence. And I think we consciously work at it. We've built a curriculum where our events are, guided by these. And we have seen students who academically may not be that bright, but they have excelled either in sports or dance or music. And the best part is, because of that, they have been accepted on scholarships in such prestigious universities simply because of what they have done outside the classroom. And it lessens the conflict that takes place. So it's not the old days anymore where there's a fight and you bring them to the principal's room and say, "Acha, aapka kasoor tha, you're suspended, you're this." It's a different world now, and I have seen the change every 5 years. And we are not dealing with the same students because of the exposure or the, of the technological world and everything. So yes, education is evolving also. But on a last note, no matter what the advancements are, what the evolution is, at the heart of it, I still feel that this topic about creating bonds and friendships, and I quote this, I give this example to my students many a times at the orientations, that ek dafa somebody asked their master or guru, Guru, which is more important, or master, which is more important, sir, which is more important, the journey or the destination? And the Guru paused and he waited and he waited and he said, what is he going to say? Is the journey more important or the destination? And the Guru said, the company. So it is the company you keep and how you go about it. The rest all comes as a result of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rubina. I would just like to add a little bit over here. Playgrounds are places where students, reflect their true self, like it's already been mentioned, their attitudes, and the teachers, whether they are sports teachers or others, they are able to identify if there's, a problem going on in a child's mind, or they're facing some issues in the classroom or whatever. So playground is a place where they actually display their inner self. And definitely, if there's a concern that is identified over there, then the teachers take care of that. And we have psychologists and teachers who are trained that way, who take care of such things. Besides that, it's very important that that schools create role models in the playgrounds. And they know how they all want to win, but they should also learn to lose as well, how to conduct themselves when they've not won. So identifying and reflecting upon themselves. I'd like to mention here that yes, if I talk about my school, and like I've already mentioned, we have a very strong sports department. We have models in our sports as well. I'd like to take few names here. Isamul Haq is an alumni, and he is very closely connected to the school. He's a frequent visitor who comes to school, plays with the students, and that's how we create role models. We have the under 19 hockey team captain, Hanan Shahid, is also our student. He's regularly invited to school events, and he's always very kind to be there for our students and talk to them, and teach them the skills. So they're connected to, and they see those positive role models. Ihtisham Humayun, a tennis, star who's just, entered, he's representing Pakistan at the national level again. He's also a student, and just last week they were all here in the school. There are students who are playing in PSL these days, and they are visiting school. So now, students get connected to them. And these are the positive role models. They talk to them about their win, and when they did not win, when they were losing games, what did they gather out of it? So these role models are extremely important when they come and they talk to the students, and that's more inspirational for them, and they get motivated and they learn more. So like we are talking about community connections through playgrounds. So yes, these are the playgrounds where even when the students have passed out from the school, they're still coming back to the school. So that is the connection that has been created between the school's playground and those alumni who is not with us, but they still like to come and do their part. And our alumni usually mentions that it is time for us to pay back to the school. Now, all these feelings, in these students are because of the playground connections. It has connected them to their friends, that, the lifelong friends that are there, and to the organization, to the institution itself. So that is, we cannot deny the importance of playgrounds and the playground communities and the connections they're making over there. They are lifelong, connections, and the impact is lifelong as well.
Thank you for that insight, for all those insights. Okay, so before we run out of time, I'd like us to focus on the superstars behind the screens, the people who are building the stars of tomorrow, guiding, everybody, that is the teachers. As the leaders at your respective institutions, how do you feel that schools build a sense of community for the women and the men who come to teach, who show up every day for these children? Because they are the ones who are building the future of our nation, And even though women make up a large part of the education sector in Pakistan, being in the education sector is simultaneously a mark of respect, but also taken for granted by the larger community. So when you see women come into the workforce at your institutions, do you see a boost in their self-confidence, in their ability to deal in their personal affairs also?
Definitely, as soon as they come into, when you see women in the workplace, not only are they a great role model for the students themselves, but they're a role model for each other, especially when they're learning skills from each other, when they're working together. And, as a school leader, and everybody, I'm sure they will be on board with me as well, is that as a school leader, you have to get your teachers to work together as a team. And, so when we have staff meetings, we will come together and we will discuss things that are going on in the classroom. You take on suggestions from everybody. And I think when teachers come into jobs, though they learn from each other, there's more older, more experienced teachers, but then the younger, fresh graduates, they can pick up so many things from there as well. And the friendships that you see in the staff room as well. So they support them not just in school, but you can see that the friendships that they've made in the staff room will now continue with them, and they support them in their home life as well. And I think when we have these strong teacher support role models, the girls and the boys in the school will look towards them and think, I can achieve this as well. And I think once you get that student acknowledgement and you get acknowledgement from your leaders as well and from your colleagues, I think that makes you a much more confident person. And it kind of encourages you to go out and seek the skills needed as well. So it's a very collaborative thing where they will encourage each other, they will work well with each other, and, they will try their best to support one another. So sometimes you will have, and in schools, you have extracurricular activities, you have fun fairs, you have school events going on all the time, sports day. And, as a school leader, you will assign different jobs you will create teams, and you will try and juggle those teams just as you juggle, different groups in the classroom. You will do that so that you can get the best out of each other. And sometimes even as a school leader, it's really surprising sometimes that the skills that you see these teachers have that, haven't come out in the classroom, but as soon as they're given a team project and they're working on a particular aspect, that all of these, new skills are coming out. We had a teacher once who was, she was just put into a group for the school play, and she'd been with us for, about 6 months, almost a year. And then we realized she has a great singing voice. And, the girls and the boys started to, go to her for music lessons and elocution lessons. And it was, and you see teachers with, maths teachers or art teachers with great digital literacy skills. And then, they're inspired by each other as well. You see a lot of the young teachers and older teachers learning from each other. So there's a lot of mentorship and there's a lot of guidance in the staff room as well. And that's lovely to see. Women supporting each other. That's really, really nice to see. And I think there's a lot of understanding as well. You get, as working women, if somebody is struggling or their child is sick, you will always see that other teachers jumping in to help them. And it's really nice that they feel that bond with their fellow teacher. It doesn't become a competition anymore. It's more about friendships and helping and supporting one another to get the best out of each other. And I think that's really nice to see.
I just would like to, if the question could be, was it more a gender-based question? Like, were you asking specifically about female teachers, or was it just about teachers? All right. Because I think as far as this goes about female teachers and male teachers, and, in today's, I have seen the difference that this preconception or misconception that male teachers are better at maths and sciences and women teachers are better at humanities and all, I think this is no longer, at least it doesn't exist in the schools that I am associated with. or whatever it is. We have brilliant female maths teachers, and we have brilliant humanities male teachers and everything. And what we try to cultivate or inculcate in the students is the fact that gender is a biological thing and it is there, but not to differentiate or discriminate on that basis at all. And once, some time back, the teachers had asked for separate staff rooms, that male staff room should be separate and the female. And I obviously asked them the reason why, because, why would you want that? They said, well, sometimes we have to talk about things which are more female, centric rather than male centric. So I just told them, well, wouldn't it be nice that in school at least you talked about things that were mutual and share more? In fact, maybe they would learn from what you're saying and you would learn from what they're saying. And at the end of the day, it's a brilliant arrangement. They all sit together, they are friends, they are colleagues. And this is what we then project to the students also, that when you go out, because mine is I didn't mention it, it's an all-girls senior school where we have O-level students and we have A-level students. So I'm talking about from 14 to 18, very impressionable ages, but yes, young adults. So we want them to see, we want them to experience the fact that there's a real world out there, that tomorrow if they are going to go in the career fields or higher education, they're going to be in a similar situation. So like someone rightly said, that the teachers have to be role models in every way, not only in academics should they be, but they have to show relationships and how the two genders can work collaboratively, be friends, be colleagues, and be empathetic to each other's particular, roles and concerns and everything. And I think that is where they learn, once again, in the classroom, outside the classrooms. And we create spaces where teachers, like for example, if somebody's birthday, somebody has a grandchild or a child or whatever, we celebrate it, rather they celebrate it in the staff room, or the admin will celebrate it for them, because we want the school to feel like a second home, both for the faculty and for the students. This is where you're spending half your life, half the days of your life. And it cannot be in a place where you don't feel like it's home. So yes, it's very important that the faculty who is nurturing, who is in contact with these young minds, they are also in a safe place. They are in a place where they want to be. They don't think of it as work. They think of it as a place they want to get up in the morning, meet these young minds, and feel rewarded for having done their bit.
Thank you. I'd just like to add, actually mic मेरे पास आखिर में आता है और सब कुछ कहा गया होता है. So I'm not left with much to talk about, but I would certainly like to mention here that just like students, when they step out of their classrooms, it's important for them, and they are themselves, and that's the time where they are free to be themselves and not monitored that way, or not in that situation where they're confined to themselves. When they go out in the playgrounds, they're different, they behave differently, and their attitudes change a little bit. It's likewise for the teachers. They have to step out of the classrooms, they have to step out of the staff rooms to be themselves, and that is very, very essential. They can't be doing their notebook checking, preparing for the lessons, planning, making props, making resources all the time, starting from 7:30 in the morning till 2. It's not possible. They have to have some breaks there. So it has to be outside of the staff room, maybe in the playground. Like if I talk about my school, yes, we see a lot of teachers, they're sitting outside on the benches, they have their round benches, and they are taking their snacks, their lunch, whatever, sitting in groups, and they're free to talk. And not only that, they should be, like I said, we are very particular about sports, and we have a very strong sports department for the students. It's likewise for the teachers. They have their gym hours. The gym is available for the entire day. They go there and they work out, and I think a lot of they get their energy from there. Not that they get tired, but yes, they take a lot of energy from there. They feel refreshed. So that is important, that they step out of their routine task and ease themselves and rejuvenate themselves, and they come back to work in the classroom, in the playground with more energy. So they're also making connections over there, just like the students. And like I mentioned earlier, that it's not only in school playgrounds or in the schools, but in everywhere, in the parks or all those free spaces. We all make connections over there. We all make friends over there, irrespective of the background, the educational background, the work, professional background or anything. It's just where our minds click, where our ideas click, and the interests and hobbies click. So there have to be connections with people who think about the same things. They talk about the same things. Like Dr. Rubina said, that there has to be some, some commonality when you're talking to people. So it's not always your workplace or in schools, but it can be outside the schools. Like our staff, they like to go out for lunches and parties and dinners. And that should always be encouraged, because that is the time when they are themselves, they dress up just as they want to, not dress professionally. They like to do that. So that freedom and that opportunities are very much required and needed, and they should be there. And I'm sure all the schools are doing that, and all our staff, they have their me times, at the end of the sessions, during the sessions, whenever there are some celebrations, student celebrations, their excellence awards, or any of these things. They are provided those opportunities to enjoy and connect otherwise. When some staff members leave the school, they're still connected to each other. They make lifelong friends. We make friends. Like, I've worked in different organizations, and the people working, in multiple organizations now, and we have our connections there. It's likewise for, I think, every area in the school or at any workplace.
Thank you so much. I feel like we've just barely scratched the surface of this very important topic. And once again, I'd like to thank our esteemed panel, Ms. Myra, Dr. Rabia, Dr. Rubina, and Ms. Rabia, for coming here and taking out time to speak about this topic that has wide implications for social change. And on behalf of the WOW team, we were very honored to have you here. And I hope this conversation will continue across multiple forums later also. Thank you, everybody. We have a question from the audience.
शुक्रिया जी for the opportunity to ask a question. मेरा सवाल एक्चुअली दो सवाल हैं. एक ये कि हम पाकिस्तान में रहते हैं, मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द स्कूल्स के पास बहुत सी वो फैसिलिटीज़ अवेलेबल ही नहीं है जिनकी अभी कुछ हमने बात की. एज इंस्टीट्यूशंस, एज द एजुकेशन सेक्टर, हमें क्या करने की ज़रूरत है टू एक्चुअली अपलिफ्ट द स्कूल्स इन द कम्युनिटीज़ जहाँ पे प्लेग्राउंड्स शायद मौजूद ही ना हो. ये जो अर्बन रूरल का डिवाइड है, इसके लिए हम क्या कर सकते हैं एज द एजुकेशन कम्युनिटी। दूसरा सवाल मेरा ये कि जब आप प्लेग्राउंड्स में पाकिस्तान में देखिए, चाहे वो स्कूल के अंदर हों या स्कूल से बाहर हों, तो जेंडर डिवाइड प्लेग्राउंड्स में ही नज़र आता है, एंड देन इट कैरीज़ ऑन हमारे मुआशरे के हर सेक्टर में और हमारी ज़िंदगी के हर पहलू में भी वो सेग्रीगेशन नज़र आती है। कोई यूनाइटेड पॉलिसी नहीं है नेशनल लेवल की हमारे मुल्क में कि हम एक्चुअली इस डिवाइड को स्कूल लेवल से ही कर्ब करना शुरू करें, बल्कि हम अपनी जब किताबों में देखते हैं तो हमें उसमें औरत का रोल बड़े क्लियरली डिफ़ाइन नज़र आता है, वो सेग्रीगेशन बड़ी क्लियरली डिफ़ाइन नज़र आती है। तो आई एम वंडरिंग एज एजुकेटर्स, आप लोग और ऑल्सो एनी सजेशन दैट यू थिंक फॉर पीपल लाइक माई सेल्फ जिनको पॉलिसी से इंटरेस्ट है, कि हम क्या पॉलिसीज़ इंट्रोड्यूस करा सकते हैं कि एक्चुअली जेंडर कॉन्शियसनेस और जेंडर न्यूट्रलिटी की कॉन्शियसनेस हम अपने स्कूलों से शुरू कर सकें। शुक्रिया।
Since we're a bit short on time and the next session has to start here, could I please request you to keep your answers brief?
This mic is it working? Okay. As far as the schools are concerned, they I think in their own capacities and with all the facilities that are available in our schools or in any of the schools are doing their bit. But as far as otherwise the facilities are concerned, yes, I agree that in most of the schools, the facilities that we have been talking about may not be available. But then I think in the communities, we have to just look around and see that whether these facilities are available or not. And in most cases, I think that such facilities are underutilized. Like if we go to a lot of areas, we see children playing outside. If you go around Gaddafi Stadium, वहाँ पे इतना बड़ा parking lot है जहाँ पे weekend पे बच्चे बहुत ज़्यादा cricket खेल रहे होते हैं. And there are children जो वहीं से players बन के भी निकले हैं. Not only that, there are otherwise playgrounds that are available in almost every community. जब भी कोई community develop होती है, as per government rules also, there is space allocated for parks and these places. So they are available and our children are using those facilities. हाँ, I totally agree कि वो कोई structured नहीं है, उनकी कोई maintenance नहीं है, and somebody or even we have been doing that. Like when our students go out and the facilities are not there, we try to create those facilities for all the students who are participating in an event. So we do that. But I'm sure all the other schools who can afford to do that, they're doing their bit. But like I said, it's a huge undertaking. Not one school or one organization can do that. However, the facilities at government level, whatever is available, even that is underutilized.
Ms. Najam, we now sadly have to vacate this hall for the next session. Thank you so much again, and thank you for listening, everybody. Bye.